And I'm going to put a marker in here. And go to Clone Community World Oracular Domain. And we're going to go to Legends. Let's poke. It's prod. So first off, I'm going to... Actually, what am I going to do? I think first off, I'll just give you guys the brief description. This is, of course, the community world. So this is 3 weeks in. We played the first week where we generated it and set the world. Second week, I just played. And this one where I've made a copy of the world and I'm looking at some historical events from the world. First, I think I'm just going to jump into historical figures and just kind of look at big scary monsters. Then I'm going to jump into civilizations and other entities and poke that a little bit and see what I can find. And then I'll take your guys' suggestions for stuff that we should look at, because I know for a fact that a lot of you guys have access to this. After the stream today, this world, this copy, which I backed up before I cut it in half, is going to be put up as well into the same folder. So you can, if you want, continue playing the fortress that I've started playing, or alternatively, do what I just did, retire the fort, and go exploring the world, like 4 years later. I don't know how much more there will be there, but I kind of want to just have these copies sitting around so you guys can have access to them. I do also still have the original save file from the start. And yeah, so hopefully all of that stuff works out and such, and should be a good time. So Hobo, what's cracking with you? How's your weekend been so far? Sorry I was kind of MIA yesterday. I basically just kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to be on the computer in the evening. Or at all, really. I did no computer-related work. So first off, let's just do a historical map run through. Now, I know for a lot of people this is gibberish, but I swear that all the blinky colors that are about to start appearing on this map are history of the different regions. Wow, we're actually pretty evenly spread. Like, there's a lot going down in the far south. Whole bunch of different factions just, like, overlapping each other. I mean, maybe just don't be a mercenary. It doesn't seem like a great way to make a living. It seems like a great way to just go die. Not gonna lie. So we still have all of that no man's land in the middle and a bunch of different factions that kind of haven't seen each other at all. We've got kind of the untouched factions up here, the Realms of Virginity. Okay. And then this whole, like, troglodyte run Australia over here in the top right. Like, they just kind of have their own chunk of continent to their own. The Union of Heat. Well, obviously the Union of Heat should never run into the Realms of Virginity, because that would be bad. And the Realms of Comedy. They've kind of spread out a little bit. I like that this whole area is just overrun with kobolds. They just have this space to themselves. Purist, original badass. That sounds like a stuntman show. Purist, original badass. Yeah, of course the Realms of Virginity is all by themselves. I think they're human. Like, yeah, they look human based on the housing types that have popped up. The Realms of Virginity all by themselves, and they've made like a whole bunch. Well, actually, that's not true. They have encountered some kobolds up here in the north. I think it's funny that the elven group, the Union of Heat, I'm assuming that's an elven group. I also didn't know that you could press enter and, like, see everything better. I did not know that you could do that. Did you know that you could do that, chat? I did not know that. I mean, I think I've read this. Yes, I've definitely read that. Absolutely read that. That's been linked to me before, that specific thread. But yeah, no, I love that the Realms of Virginity have just this area over here. Just kind of by themselves. Meanwhile, over here, this tiny little, like, unassuming island with this little good biome in the middle is completely overrun by kobolds. Just completely overrun by kobolds. But over here, this is, of course, where did we settle? I'm trying to spot it now. Ah, yeah, no, we settled way down here at the bottom, didn't we? I mean, I know that they're kobolds because of the name of their faction, right? Weren't we, like, over here? Or am I crazy? I mean, I just retired it. I didn't abandon it. I don't know. Maybe they're able to, like, okay. Maybe they're able to make the trek across here over to the humans. You never know. It's possible. There's plenty of humans to steal from. It's just a matter of if they're able to get there. And I'll bet you that there's probably human caravans going across this area, up the top. At the top of the yellow zone. Yeah, we were up there. I guess, I thought I didn't abandon the fort, though. I don't know. Because that's not us. Yeah, and then Menace Stubbs is over here somewhere. There's so many different factions along this area. Oh, I see why it hasn't popped up. It's because it only goes as far as year 250. That's why it hasn't settled yet. It's because this screen only goes as far as year 250. We haven't made it 10 years past, so this won't show it. That makes sense. I get it now. All right. And current year is... Yeah, 253 is the current year. The Age of Myth was a time when living gods and mighty beasts still held sway. All right, well, let's look at historical figures for a second here and see what we still have around. We still have a male rock. Unfortunately, the Hydra died. Now, the Bronze Colossus. Let's take a peek at that. Don't have a female dragon. Okay, so we got 2 male rocks. We do have a female rock as well, so rocks are still a thing. But let's look at that Bronze Colossus. It's a pity we don't have the dragon anymore. Pretty standard start. It seemed to have just, attacked the Cobalt. Struck down the Cobalt. That's unfortunate. Big old Bronze Colossi just picking on a whole bunch of little Cobalts that just didn't deserve anything. Cobalts did nothing wrong. I'm just curious about where this thing's lair is. Just, for future reference. I'd be curious to know. Attacked a Humid, so hasn't really done anything since the year 259. Is enemies with everybody. Literally everybody. Dent Cuts the Castle of Crystal. That is a really fucking cool name for probably what is just a hole. 54 notable kills. Okay. And 27 other kills. Not currently, no. But yeah, I'm aware. Tapioca. Dent Cuts. That's not a site. Pretty sure that would be a site. Unless I misread that. I don't know. I never liked using Legends Reader. Like I had it installed on my old computer. That's the fact it's still installed on my old computer. You thought it was your cat? Yeah, I mean, toddlers can sound like cats. I heard two little kids screaming at the playground not too long ago and thought that they were a cat fight. DENT cuts the Castle of Crystal. Why can't I find that? Yeah, I can't find it. Weird. Maybe it got destroyed? Zombie dragon? Doesn't surprise me. A zombie dragon. Where's that? Female Hydra. Female dragon. Got 2 bronze colossi alive, though. Doesn't matter if it's dead, though. First one? Oh, yeah, it's dead. I see zombie dragons pretty frequently, but like I said, it doesn't necessarily matter if they're dead, though. Man, this guy was busy. Whole lot of murder. Curious about who rezzed it, though. Like, when did it initially die and then who rezzed it? Who brought it back? Man. 135 notable kills. More importantly, who brought it back? 82 other kills. Who brought it? Yeah. Man, I always, okay, so I always read the word spun in Dwarf Fortress as spud. Zero is struck down by a dwarf in spun machine. Why don't we get, how do you strike down something with 135 notable kills and not get a name for it in history? At the Dark Tragedies? Which one's the Dark Tragedies? I mean, I wanted to know who killed this dragon. But now I'm going to figure out who rezzed it. See if they're still alive. Or spun machine. Man, I need to... Giant cave toad. Bone ring was stolen. I mean, here's like the reality with insect forgotten beasts, Lakopek, or not Lakopek, Tygo. As big of a deal as I made about it slipping on a mushroom, they're very delicate. There's a thing with insects when they're forgotten beasts. They tend to just kind of shatter. Like, they're very brittle. So I wasn't super worried about that one dying in the first place. Like, I figured that... the dwarves would the dwarves would very easily be able to kill it. It was just really funny when it fell. What, spun machine? Maybe. I'm pretty sure it's a dwarven fortress. I want to see if I can find who rezzed it. Pity. A lot of elves escaped its onslaught. Yeah, and insect forgotten beasts are generally very fragile. Granted, insect forgotten beasts are also very rare for that reason, which is why that was actually a really cool one. The scary ones are the quadrupeds, in my opinion. Like, those are the fucking scary ones. Quadrupeds made of rock. Those things, ugh. Like that one made of tin that we had. I remember once I had a quadruped that was basically just a giant bull. It had a horn, and I want to say it just undulated rhythmically, but it did a very good job just, like, destroying everything. Towering quadruped composed of... Oh, God, run! Although I will say the scariest Forgotten Beast I ever had was a stallion. It was a horse composed of steel that shot webs. Killed everything in my entire fort. It's always scary when it starts spreading miasma. Yeah, unless... Here's the thing for a Sectra. As long as it's a flying vomit ball that smells, you're kind of okay. But the second that it's a flying vomit monster that has deadly dust and can just, like, hover over top of you, just spraying dust down, that's when you've got a problem. Still looking to see when this thing was rezzed. I haven't found anything about it being struck down. Oh, there you go. Right at the beginning. The flickering silver as a zombie dragon was animated by unknown forces. So it was literally animated by unknown forces at the beginning of time. Interesting. I kind of figured a necromancer would have done that. Bizarre. Unknown. Oh. I was going to look up unknown forces. Pity. Pity that. What happened to this? I feel like I already read about the Hydra named Gabe. Luckily, we still got plenty of Forgotten Beasts. The God-Forsaken. Togu. The God-Forsaken was a forgotten beast, the only one of its kind, a huge humanoid composed of a coke. Don't get high on your own supply. It has a pair of knobby antennae and it squirms and fidgets. Beware its webs. The God-Forsaken was associated with torture and caverns. Coke. God King. Both are equally funny, though. That's actually kind of scary, though. Actually, I wonder how brittle Coke could be. A giant leech that wiped about 90% of your... wiped about 90% of your fort until a child broke its head by pure accident. A child broke its head. Nice. Shoutouts to that child. So something we could do, actually. Crap. Crypt Abbey. This is our fortress. Is I could look up some of our dwarves. Like, let's look up Rhine. Born in 249. Was the only daughter of Uzurun. Left the Vessel of Artifice, settled in the in Crypt Abbey, became a member of the Vessel of Artifice, became a member of the Coastal Guild, fought in the roasted assaults in defense of Crypt Abbey, fought in the Siege of Scalding in the defense of Crypt Abbey, and fought in the Onslaught of Shoving in the defense of Crypt Abbey. Let's look up Vesrelix. Was born in 229. It was the youngest son of Zulban. Vesrelix and Lear became childhood friends. Became oppressor in hollow tours. And fought in a bunch of sieges. Jeez. Became a tavern keeper. Married Yuzaroon in the year 246. Became a tavern keeper in Gift Pillars. Started working at the Sweetness of Creations in Gift Pillars. A few years later, went and settled in Crypt Abbey. Fought in a couple fights. Became an engraver. Has a kill on a zombie wild boar. Stuff like that. Like, that stuff's fun to look at. Are there any specific historical figures you guys want me to look up? Or actually, we could look at Menestubs. The Pussies of Horror, eh? Sorry, I need to know. Was a cave, okay. Ah. Zeril the Jade settled in it. So the Zeril the zombie dragon lived in the Pussies of Horror. Okay, well, good to know. Menestubs. The Disloyal Magicians constructed Menestubs. There's a little bit of history here. Pusses. Oh, not quite. The Pusses of Horror. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Little bit of history, yeah. Well, hold on. Let me hold the down arrow for a second. Good God. There's like 2,000 years of history here. In the late autumn of 99, the Goblin Eustace settled there, and the Angelic Empire attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. The Human Tor, Drill Valued, led the Human Idor, Drill Vaulted, led the attack. The defenders were led by the Goblin Dipfell. The defenders hired the Lusterious Beauteous Scouts and let the carnage begin. Multiple times a year, they just get invaded. 694 attacks. Just the Angelic Empire attacked them. The Union of Heat attacked them. The Fence of Drums attacked them. People just getting like... Oh, I was gonna say, Nego Kong's Yawning Steel's tongue was ripped off, and I was like, oh man, we should look up that goblin, but no, they get struck down in the next line. This is crazy. I'm trying to see, like, a human that gets, like, mutilated but doesn't die, so I could go look them up, although they'd probably just die later in the same place, right? Here's the thing, we already do. This is a short walking distance from our fort. I've already invaded it. Yeah, I've already invaded it. We fought with a couple goblins and came back. There's, according to the world map, at the time that I last played, the human mummy, where was that? Human mummy. There's plenty of mummies, but... By human, stabbed. Right eyelid was stabbed out. How do you stab out an eyelid without... That's like some precise stab work right there. Yeah, literally. It's the Helm's Deep of this world. Oh, I see. There you go. the Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. The human mummy, Skulls Fair. I see some skulls in the chat. That seems fitting. Skulls Fair led the attack. The defenders were led by the goblin Atu, Weredented, the Lustrous Beauty, and they were hired as scouts. Illustrious you know, honestly, the Lustrous Beauty have been hired as scouts by the defenders and the attackers on multiple occasions. Do you think that they're double dipping? Like, look, in the mid-spring of 113, the Fence of Drums attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs, and the Dwarf Dastot led the attack. The defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. And then right below it, and the defenders were led by the Goblin Atu, and the Lustrous Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. Like, the actual people that are pulling the strings, at least in these early fights, are the Lustrous Beauty. Yeah, and then down here in 114, the Lustrous Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. And then the defenders in 114, later that year, hired the Lustrous Scouts. Has anybody here looked up the Lustrous Scouts? I think we need to look up the Lustrous Scouts. Or the Lustrous Beauty, who keeps getting hired as scouts. A bunch of elvish bards armed with books. What are they? Okay, yeah, we need to find this out. Okay, so Illustrious Beauty. I'm assuming that would be a civilization plus. There you go, Illustrious Beauty. Their symbol appears to be like a red-colored gem of sorts. It was a human shadowy military band. My nose is exceptionally itchy. From the oracular domain, devoted to the worship of Zappus. Okay, so pause. Zappus? How'd you spell that? Zapas. Maybe. Yeah, you're right. I need entities, and I hit escape one too many times because the game lagged slightly. Zappus was a human risen corpse? Human goddess. Was a deity that occurs in the myths of the nations of Tone. Zappus was most often depicted as a female human and was associated with wisdom, speech, and persuasion. Okay. So they worship a god of persuasion. Called it I mean, they're a shadowy military band. So obviously this is like our world's version of the fucking shadowy overlords, right? So they were formed in what year? They were formed in the year 91. Okay. So the human Arab, Faint Bristles, became the commander of Illustrious Beauty. I think, can someone write that name down? Or can someone else look that up on their copy? of the world, because this history is pretty old, so you guys can easily look that up. The actual land... you can download this on... So you can download a 3-week-old version of this world, which is 3 years behind, on the Discord right now. I had to Google that. What's the name? Athrab Faint Bristles. It's the second thing on the list. With German-speaking mercenaries consulting periodically. Okay. But here, I can get you a download link. Give me 2 seconds. There you go. Like caves for forgotten beasts? Yeah, do that. The tattooed sins attack the angelic. Okay. In the mute swamp. The chameleon brute. Okay, so the Illustrious Beauty was a shadowy military band from the oracular domain, devoted to the worship of Zappas. And in the year 96, the Tattooed Sins, who I'm assuming is them, attacked the Angelic Empire. Okay. The Tattooed Sins attacked the Angelic Empire in the chameleon brute Amak. Scalded Tomb. The Princess of Lords led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human Mogum Sloshed Knives. The Illustrious Beauty was hired as scouts. They're always hired as scouts. The Tattooed Sins attacked the town of Cruxes at the Bruised Tongs and Cloud Tropes, and the chameleon brute Amak led the attack. Okay, you know what? I'm going to back out of here real quick and look up the chameleon brute. Amak, the Princess of Lords, was a chameleon brute. She was the only one of her kind, a gigantic hairy chameleon, twisted into a humanoid form. It has a bloated body, and its black hair is long and shaggy. Beware its fire. Amak was associated with war, victory, and death. Became the master of the Tattooed Sins in the year of 84, and the Tattooed Sins attacked the Folded Clasps at Circled Lantern. Amak led the attack, and the defenders were led by the dwarf Zasset Diamond Heater. Diamond Heater. Struck some people down. Claimed a artifact called Name Pills. From this organization, or I don't know, some of the scouts from this organization are total badasses. Exactly. We'll kill them all as well for free. You want someone dead? Sure, we'll level the town. I'm gonna go back and continue looking at them, because honestly, I think that band of mercenaries is like kind of the reason so many people have died in this world. You can crucify dwarves? You can't, but it can happen in Legends. Interesting. The Goblin Frozen One. Frozen One. So I guess we have like a intelligent undead called Frozen Ones in this world. That's a good name. I like it. Frozen One. M. Glowing Mangled was brought back from the dead by Amak the Frozen One. Encircled Lantern. Paged Plaints was brought back from the dead by Amak. So rezzed an undead army Fought in the crazed battles of the plain of yore. And of course, you know, does what spooky things do, and the Bruised Tongues held a wrestling competition. Amak, of course, was the victor. They can do a lot of really fucked up things in Legends, like create horrific mounds, build structures out of corpses. They can, Amak, the Tattooed Sins, created the position of Master of Beasts as a matter of course. Amak fought in the steamy battle of the Mute Swamp. Okay, so who struck down Amak? Oh, would you look at that? Why is it, man? That's always disappointing. "53 other kills, 20 notable kills." All right, let's jump back to the Lustrious group. Illustrious Beauty. And there you go. The Disloyal Magicians. You know, I'll bet money that the Lustrious Beauty is the reason the body count at Menace Dubs is so high. They have the most kills of any failed merc. Sure, we can do that after I'm done. I kind of want to look at the Lustrious Beauty some more. But yeah, we can definitely look that dwarf up. It's done. Athreb Faint Bristles isn't a human of particular interest. He was a competent tactician, but most importantly, it was a legendary tracker. Gotcha. So yeah, was being a scout is reasonable for him. Fought in 1 war, 11 battles, and had a masterwork equipment. Died of old age in the year 106. Okay. A year after his last battle. So had a good life, sounds like it. He spent the last five years of his life fighting in Menace Dubs. Attacking and defending, or like as somebody living in Menace Dubs? It's always the Disloyal Magicians. As a scout attacking, gotcha. Offensive drums attack them. Man, we need to write this down, because I have this weird feeling that this whole cycle of events is one of those stories that could go down in history of DF, because this is easily the most deaths I've ever seen in a single site. I like this. In the year 115, so after they've been around for 15 years, they purchased well-crafted equipment. I mean, they've probably got a whole lot of money after all of these getting hired as scouts. Because they're just non-stop getting hired. I'm looking for something that they did that's not, you know, their main bread and butter. The Lustrious Beauty did? They made a site? They constructed Judge Smiled. What exactly is Judge Smiled? It looks like in the year 121 they purchased more finely made equipment. Yeah, it's like it makes me wonder if the goblins are in on it too, like if they're paying off the goblins to just keep this fight going. Judge Smiled as a fort, gotcha. So they founded their own fortress. Well, not fortress, but fort. Like defensive position, I would guess. It's probably like their hideout hold area where they would return to. Um, hmm. Can I just say this? A certain Quill, the 18th, is streaming Aurora 4X. So expect a lot of people to bug me to play Aurora 4X for a while. Or rather, I should expect a lot of people to bug me to play Aurora 4X for a while. Also contains a temple dedicated to Zappas. There's also an artifact. What's the artifact? But yeah, look up whatever you'd like, and if you find anything interesting, let me know, Tapioc. No, actually, Hobo, you did it wrong. Hey, Blindy, have you heard of a game called Aurora 4X? That's what you actually need to say. It's just like when people come in for the first time in months and say, hey, have you heard of a game called Cataclysm? Dank Days Ahead? No, I haven't. Do tell me of this video game. Brush tongs. I'm looking at like names that are attacking. The Fence of Drums, the Brush Tongs, and the Angelic Empire really like fighting at Menastubs. Maybe, you know, it's almost like it's sport. You know, like it's a rite of passage for all of these factions. You attack Menastubs, it's a draw, and you hire the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. It's like the Lustrous Beauty are just like spinning up this whole event. It's like ritual combat almost. Golden Beings was a legendary llama wool turban. Encircled with bands of pig hoof, this object menaces with spikes of llama bone. No, never had heard of it, Hobo. Please do tell. The perplexing obscurity of the copper lobsters at Relstedt, the human, the nation of Tone have some really good names. The perplexing obscurity of copper lobsters at Released Hammer, Released Whisper. The human, the nations of Tone attack the perplexing obscurity and the lustrous. Okay, so we're starting to find some other things. They're not just fighting with them now. They're now being, the human sunless slayer. The defenders were led by the human sunless slayer, Lagli, Ripe Elves. Ripe Lives, not elves. I can't read. And the Lustrous Beauty was hired as scouts by the attackers. The human sunless slayer. You have all the time in the world, Tapioc. Lustrous Beauty bought better equipment. The Bruised Tongs attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menastubs, and here we go. Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians. The Roomy Tufts. These guys have to be like some of the most renowned scouts in the world. Can someone look up how many members are in this group, the Lustrous Beauty? That's something I'd like to know. How many people are actually a part of this group? Like, are they just like fucking talented ass con artists? The 90-year-old merc who died on his first job and was brought back with... Oh, really? So one of the years that you looked up, the 90-year-old one who died on his first job and was brought back to life and then died on his second job was brought back by a sunless slayer. So this group is made up of 57 humans, 37 dwarves, 2 goblins. I mean, if they're all incredibly skilled tacticians, the success rate for that is totally plausible. Like, this level of success, like, that's a whole fort, basically. Or at least, like, a whole fortress military. Like, I could totally build an army that big. Totally could. My phone's going off. Whoop. Also, shout outs to Evil Trick for the auto host. I don't think he saw that, but of course it's my fucking phone company. And DLD Utesh the Murky Holes. What is Utesh the Murky Holes associated with? Also, does anybody here know what's involved with starting a wiki? Because I would love to build a wiki for all of our community worlds, including like save files that you can download. Because that's something that we kind of joked about last week, and I would really like to do that. Achille the Copper Beak is Great Horned Owl deity. I think I've actually read about that one. Vessel of Artifast attacked the Disloyal Magicians, Menace Stubbs, and the Dwarf Zulban Paint Plank. These guys took part in 754. I mean, I'm not surprised. Literally every single one of these things is an attack. And I'm assuming that they're still operating, yeah? First one is associated with caverns and cave monster guards. Yeah, that sounds about right. They're still fighting with the Disloyal Magicians. Also, if anybody's confused in chat, feel free to just ask questions, yeah? So what's the last one then? Have a subcategory for failed jurist mercs. Successful jurists, unsuccessful jurists. I don't know. Chat, just like show of hands, who would be interested here in running a community world wiki? Or helping me run a community world wiki? Or something of that sort. A female gremlin deity associated with animals. That's a good one. Wars, like, this isn't just a war. This is like everybody attacking one place. The Dwarf Zulban led the attack, and the defenders were led by the goblin... The Courageous Shark. This goblin has an interesting name. The goblin Negoso seduced Torment, the Courageous Shark, which was hired by the attackers. And the defenders were the Courageous Shark were hired by the attackers, and the defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. So who's the Courageous Shark? 70% of the attacks while direct. I mean, it looks like that, yeah. That's an interesting one, though. Who's the Courageous Shark? Do we have a... also, I'm seeing them again. In the year 150, the Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians. The Dwarf Zulban led the attack, and the defenders were led by the Goblin Dang. The Courageous Shark were hired by the attackers, and the defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. Did I want the members? We already got the members of or the number of members in the Luxurious Beauty. Also up here in the year 150, the defenders were led by the goblin Ren's Cruelty. The Luxurious Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers, and the defenders hired the Heavy Luxuries. We have ourselves another band. Luxurious Beauty bought more. So we've got two more mercenary bands that are taking part in this war for profit. We've got the Courageous Shark and the Heavy Luxuries. So that's a total of 3 bands now. The Courageous Shark is 100% made of dwarves. Really? 82 of them? I mean, that's a pretty solid band. They don't have a religious side, but love crossbows and spears. That sounds like dwarves. Certainly sounds like dwarves. I think I like the Lustrous Beauty because they're very mixed, right? Like, it's humans, dwarves, no elves, of course. They're terrible at combat. An elven mercenary group would just get smashed. Dragon Man.
Hey guys.
If you want to jump in, Dragon Man, that's a link to the world that we're all sharing. We're all kind of digging through at the same time. If you'd like to take a look at it and pick through it with us, it'll make things very easy. Guys, can I get a round of beers in chat for Dragon Man in the 11 months? It's good to have you back, man. Hope you've been well. Oh, there's another one. It seems like around the year 150 or so, a bunch of other mercenary groups have like popped into these. Have popped out of into existence. I'm wondering if they have any cross members, like if there's any members that have joined multiples of these groups. What's the name of that one? I lost it. The Puzzling Blade were hired by the attackers and the defenders. There you go. Year 153. The Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. The dwarf Zulban Paintplank led the attack, and the defenders were led by the goblin Strodno Hell Zenith. That is a good last name. Hell Zenith. The Puzzling Blade were hired by the attackers, and defenders hired the Luxurious Beauty as scouts. Also began with 8 dwarves and became a legendary fighting crew. I love it. I love it. 0 Urists are in the Courageous Shark. Urist count 0. How about the Luxurious Beauty or the Lustrous Beauty? Also, did anybody look up the Heavy Luxuries, which is the other group that we've seen in here? So that's 4 groups now. We've got we've got the Puzzling Blade, the Heavy Luxuries, the Courageous Shark, and the Lustrous Beauty that are all taking part as mercenary groups. Also, this is another good one. The Disloyal Magicians. Okay, so the Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. Dwarf Zulban Paintplank led the attack, and the defenders were led by the Goblin Shuba Submerged Hates. The Mountainous Conqueror were hired by the attackers, and the defenders, of course, hired the Luxurious Beauty as scouts. Dude, this is like Game of Thrones 2 Electric Boogaloo right here. This is like, there's more drama going on in this wall of text. There's so many little details, though. So many little details. Such lore. I'm just sitting here and trying to think, how could I make a Today in Dwarf Fortress about this? It would just be screenshots. Yep, randomly generated most games. Also, it's good to see you. How you doing today? There's 2 creative phantoms in existence. Are they completely different things? I mean, there's so many bands with the same name already. I mean, we can obviously have different groups named. The Mountainous Conqueror is dead. Oh, what was the Mountainous Conqueror then? Sure, go ahead. Write them down. Tapioca, I'd love to see them. Also, if you guys find anything particularly cool, do me a huge favor and repost it into the Dwarf Fort talk room. So, like, things like population counts of different mercenary groups. Because I have it up here. Right, this is my Dwarf Fort talk room. Just like population counts, like we've various groups, like all these walls of text are things from this world. In fact, this was us finding, or more specifically, Lakopek finding Menistubs originally. Yeah, so anything that you find that you think is interesting, just drop it into that room, as well as reposting into chat. That way we can go back and find it later. Dwarven Merc group attacked Menistubs 3 times. 3 dwarves. They are predictable. Captain, soldier, spear, crossbow master, and adept bearer. All of the battles would make for great ratings. I mean, they might need to move some of the names around because in the English language, a lot of the names kind of come across as kind of weird, you know? Like the Fence of Drums. What? Like, let's rename that for the HBO series, of course. Sounds dwarfy to me. Tapioca. The Harvester of Halls were hired by the attackers and, of course, the defenders. So in the year 155, the Vessel of Artifice, once again, I feel like the Vessel of Artifice really has a hard-on for hiring new groups. Because in the year 155, the Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians in Menistubs. And the dwarf Zulban Paintplank led the attack. And the defenders were led by the goblin Negoso Blackrime. The Harvester of Halls were hired by the attackers, and the defenders hired the Luxurious Beauty. Why do I keep saying luxurious? It's lustrous, lustrous, lustrous. And then the Angelic Empire attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menistubs. Bok led the attack, and the Lustrous Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. It's also great to see notes like, it was the fierce onslaught outcome of the 216th pillaging of Menistubs. Pillaging! Man, it must be fun living in Menistubs. The exploits of the Lustrous Beauty. It's, like I said, it's fucking ritual combat. Like, there's got to be somebody in the Lustrous Beauty that's profiting off of this. There's no way. Like, I almost feel like there's a bug in this fort that's causing this to happen. Like, why would there be such a long fight for such a long period of time? You know what I mean? Also, to be clear, the Disloyal Magicians is a group of goblins. 39 goblins, 11 humans. Man. That death count, though. The thing that blows my mind, though, is, like, they don't get taken over. They're just fighting. The Puzzling Blade were hired by the attackers, and the defenders were hired. The Lustrous Beauty were hired as scouts. I wonder if there's another mercenary band that's as prolific as the Lustrous Beauty. No one is that dumb, but they keep attacking it. Vessel of Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menistubs. I don't think there's demons in it. No, the population is literally just... Here, I mean, the population is posted on Discord. The Disloyal Magician is a group of goblins. 39 goblins, 11 humans, and 3 dwarves. Like... Yeah, exactly. People keep moving there despite the danger. Which is fucking mind-boggling. The Disloyal Magicians. The Defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. Like, literally, I don't think that they would still be here if the Lustrous Beauty wasn't still fighting them. Actually, what god do they worship? What god does the Disloyal Magicians worship? If any. Like the Slayers in Warhammer Fantasy? Perhaps. I mean, maybe they worship a god of violence or something. The weird thing, though, is, like, normally when fights like this happen, when you have a fort in Dwarf Fortress, they get attacked once, they get attacked twice, they get attacked a third time, routed, razed, whatever, or captured. And then it's a different faction in charge. And it could get attacked again, right? I've never seen one place just get attacked with no outcome before. Like, they're just infinitely attacking the place. The first goblin in the fort worshipped the god of war and fortresses. Dwarven god. Interesting. And I'll bet you if you were to take an adventurer through this area, it would just look like a normal-ass fort, right? Humble smiths attack the Ashen Coalition. Okay, here we go. They're doing some other things. The Humble Smiths attacked the problematic group at Ramshore. The human Graveslayer, Tor, led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human Tycho. The defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty. Humble Smiths, Graveslayer. The heck is a Graveslayer? This is such an evil world. I love it, though. This is like grimdark fantasy shit. Graveslayer. Yeah, there's a lot of Graveslayers. So it seems like in the year 163, the Humble Smiths were attacking... Ooh. The Light Coalition. So they seem to have taken... the Humble Smiths have attacked a lot of people. Like the National Council, the Elevated Band, the Carmine League, and the Beauteous... the Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts in all these cases. Maybe we should look up the Humble Smiths, because they're still at it. And the defenders are always hiring... What is it with the Illustrious Beauties getting hired as defenders against the Humble Smiths? Also, Nocam, Join Delights, seems to be this prolific human Graveslayer. Just every single one of these is led by the human Graveslayer, Nocam. Now, when he turns cam on, that's when things are scary. Perhaps a Necromancer Tower? Worth looking up. It's possible it's a Necromancer Tower. But it's interesting that they're like just attacking everything, and the defenders are always hiring the Luxurious Beauty. So the Humble Smiths was founded by a mummy. Really? Also, stick that up on the Discord if you're in the Discord. Nocam and the Humble Smiths. Nocam, the human Graveslayer, and the Humble Smiths. Very prolific group. I think we need to look them up. The Brush Tongs attack the Disloyal Magicians. And then there we go. Year 163. Granted, the Lustrous Beauty was founded in the year 99. We're only on the year 63. World's currently on year 253, and we're like a third of the way through. We found so many neat different factions that we gotta look at. The Brush Tongs attack the Disloyal Magicians. The Angelic Empire attacked the Disloyal Magicians, and it seems like we've gone back to the original cycle of just fighting with the Disloyal Magicians. And the defenders are always hiring the Lustrous Beauty. And when the few times they don't, the attackers hire them. Yeah, like in this case, in the year 166. The defenders didn't hire them. Was struck down by a dog? Really? No Cam was killed by a dog and not at Menace Dubs. I think that I need to look that stuff up next once I get to the bottom of this. Right now, to be clear, all I'm looking for is I'm looking for repeat names, and I'm looking for different militant bands that were involved with fights alongside of the illustrious beauty. I mean, they're incredibly skilled trackers and warriors, right? Dragman? So because they're so good at tracking, they're always being hired as scouts, which is probably part of the reason why they're not dying, because they're probably not fighting that much, right? They're probably just scouting and going, okay, those numbers are there, and then going, peace, nerds, and then leaving. I wonder if that's got something to do with it. You know? And then, because you know when you're playing a fort and you start raiding somebody, it's possible for your dudes to just snowball and all become legendary trackers and all become legendary military dwarves, right? So I wonder if that's just what's happened here, where they've snowballed to a point where their skills are so high that it's impossible for them to lose a fight, and whoever hires them wins. But because they're not directly a military group, they're like scouts and probably mappers, and they're probably just like mapping out and scripting these battles without actually taking part directly. They're not dying. The Union of Heat. Ooh, there's another one. Attack the confining loaves. And the tapered diversions at Oily Arch. The human Busla led the attack. The defenders were led by the human Risen Corpse, Isaac Burial Pack. The illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of other names appearing. Ooh, some interesting things are happening. Hold on. In the year 167, the chasms of virginity of the tapered diversions at Pack Jump. Twinko Dance Fenced led the attack. Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. Then again and again, a bunch of people attacked the chasms of virginity, and they were all hired as attackers. They're yeah, absolutely, Dragoman. But this is where things get interesting. In the year 167, Bold Chapels corrupted a fellow Order member, the human vampire Romanced Dyke, in order to have someone act on plots and schemes. Romanced Dyke offered a bribe. The human vampire Romanced Dyke was overcome by greed, despite valuing the law. So who was that human vampire? The mummy's name, so this was the mummy founder of the Humble Smiths, I'm assuming. Name was Casmaco Crater Boot. Casmaco, mine and lawgiver in life, who died of old age in 98 and rested until the year 131 when Ramstom Contraboils disturbed them. Their last event was being imprisoned and settling in Whisper Frames. And I guess still undead. I was going to say alive, but technically I would guess undead. Hold on, I have hiccups. It's interesting. There's like stuff starting to happen within the group. But it seems like they've gone back to their normal ways of beating the shit out of and ending people. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians. Looking for something that stands out to me. Yeah, the Union of Heat seem to have gotten into the fight. Ooh! In the year 170, the human vampire Uram Romance Dyke plotted to infiltrate the Illustrious Beauty in order to prepare a coup under the influence of the human Ura Bold Chapels. They're trying to start a coup. Oh my. Drama. This is like the mid-season climax here, right? Before like they take a 2-week break. Okay, so then the Brush Tongs attacked and the Defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty. The Connected Claw were hired as scouts by the attackers, and the Defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. So the Connected Claw is a new one. At least new to me. Heads up, chat. Investments are open if you wish to invest your tickets. Crystals of Tiredness seem to have gone on a spree now of hiring them. Or actually, rather, the Crystals of Tiredness have gone on to a spree of attacks, and the Defenders seem to be hiring them. The Slayer Aerith Drowned Braze led the attack, and the Defenders were led by the human Nithepa Right-Skinned, the Dimsel Gear, and the Defenders were hired by the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. They've got a Groundhog Man? Oh, really? Hey, zombie, how's things? So right now, we're reading through Legends from the community world that I have. If you would like to download this world and follow along yourself or look up stuff, there's a link. This is the version that I'm looking at is slightly more recent than the version in Drive, but only by 3 years in game time, so you won't be missing that much. We're currently looking at a shadowy military group called the Illustrious Beauty, who seems to be involved in the majority of fights in the world. Yeah. Sanctified Slayer, yeah, must be another form of intelligent undead. Also, I like this. The Crystals of Tiredness in the year 172 attacked the Society of Snarling at Swallow Growers. The Dwarf Sanctified Slayer, Arath Dawnbraze, led the attack, and the Defenders were led by the human Lusman Colwoods. The Defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. I hope you had fun with Dead by Daylight. Almost as much evil and violence in that game as Dwarf Fortress. That's also possible. They're either like intelligent undead, various experiments, or religious positions, potentially. Yeah. Or is it like some sort of faction ranking? Man. The Defenders were led by the Dwarf Sanctified Slayer. Can someone figure out what a Sanctified Slayer is? Sweet, well, you're just in time then, zombie. If you love DF lore. You can listen to this stuff all day. Well, the whole VOD will go up on YouTube, so... And there's other VODs of this sort of stuff up on YouTube as well. Also, I haven't said this enough today, but you know, we got like 60 people just listening to me read procedurally generated text. Congratulations, you found one of the weirdest streams on Twitch. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Seriously. It wouldn't be for this fort. It would be for the world. It would be for the world. I have no idea what is involved in starting a wiki. So I need to look into that. But yeah, all this shit needs to be archived. It's either that or like a big old Google Doc, so here's kind of like the problem, right? It's way too easy to just troll a Google Doc. And I don't really want to be posting a public editable Google Doc in the chat ever. Even wikis, it's like, I could just appoint a few volunteers to help edit the wiki, right? Stub your toe on your shoes. Ow. Aerith Dawnblaze was struck by a demon. Oh, really? And then brought back as a slayer 74 years later. What group is making slayers? I'd access in Discord. I mean, I'd still need to have like a group of people that I trust, right? Because my Discord's public. I could make it subs only, I guess, to edit the wiki, but then like that gets complicated. Or like to edit the doc. I don't know. The Union of Heat? Okay. Yeah, then we're back to fighting with the Disloyal Magicians. That's okay, Tapioca. Don't worry about it. Members of the Illustrious Beauty. Good to know. Thanks. Yeah, exactly. It's just a how do I moderate that? Like, if I'm manually do it, like, I could also just lock it behind patrons, right? But then it's like, there's a lot there. I don't know. It's tricky. Because if I just make it completely public, someone could just go wreck it. And that's the problem with Twitch, is someone will. It's not a matter of if someone does it, it's a matter of when someone does it. So. Or rather, it's a matter of when somebody posts it on 4chan. And then there goes all the work. So, I don't know. But right now, it's like just listing all this stuff in Discord is good currently. That or doing it all through a subreddit. That's also an option. We could, in theory, make a subreddit. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Technically, there's a subreddit for my stream, but I always took a step back from it. I don't even think I'm a mod in it. It was something that one viewer wanted to do and then kind of lost interest after a week. I was like, well, that sounds about what I expected. The bruised tongues attacked the disloyal magicians at Menestubs, and the dwarf Arath led the attack, and the defenders hired the lustrous beauty as scouts. But here's the problem, right? Patreon could be a great way to manage it. But then saying, yeah, you have to give me money in order to edit this doc. But then there's people that could be a lot of help in editing it, but maybe can't afford that. It's tricky. It's tricky. Oh, you could absolutely revert bad edits, but also I hate GitHub. I don't want to use GitHub. I do not want to use GitHub. I mean, probably the best way to do it would be to make a wiki and then just have some volunteer moderators for it. That would probably be the best way to do it. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians. Those damn Disloyal Magicians, man. No, totally they could, but like I said, there are some people that can't afford Patreon that would be super helpful, right? And I don't want people to have to give me money to volunteer to do a thing. Like, I don't want you to pay me to do things. So I mean, I could just approve 2 or 3 editors. The Disloyal Magicians. The Disloyal Magicians are the group that run Menastub. That have been running Menastubs forever. They're the founders of Menastubs, which is the fortress or fort, not even a fortress, it's a fort, that has been getting attacked hundreds and hundreds of times, that has had thousands and thousands of deaths involved on its floors. It must smell really bad. The battle Arath fell was between dwarves and a lot of demons. A couple of goblins. No demons were killed, like 14 lesser beings on the dwarven side, and then there were 361 losses out of 554 initial soldiers. Good God, man. This is too cumbersome. Yeah, I know the feeling. Makes me really curious to see what kind of UX improvements they do for the Steam version of Legends. Like, I know that Tarn's on record saying, like, oh, well, you know, that stuff's already exists in mods, which is true. Legends Viewer exists, but, like, I'd love to see some updates to this, to the searchability of this. Because shit like this is so fucking cool. Oh, there's another one. The Tapered Diversions attacked the Society of Chastity at Pack Jump. The Dwarf Risen Corpse Unib City Forests led the attack. The defenders were led by the human Ibo Steel Fling. And of course the defenders hired the illustrious Beauty as scouts. The Euphoric Seers. The Union of Heat attacked the Euphoric Seers. Also, in speaking of casualties in relative terms, it's like half of France has died in the raiding of Luxembourg. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, quite literally. Like, this is on, like, such a huge portion of the population of the world has died here. Oh, interesting. Here's another name. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians in the Mute Swamp. The human Vasila led the attack, and the Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. They've flipped sides again. And the defenders hired the Coal of Releasing. But it's not just one Dwarven Civ, right? It's like yeah, 6,000 casualties is half of the biggest Dwarven Civ, but it's not just that one Dwarven Civ. Artifice attacked the Disloyal Magicians. The defenders were led by the Goblin Mato, and the Tax of Healers were hired by the attackers. The Tax of Healers. And then, of course, Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts by the defenders. You found a married couple of mercenaries in the Illustrious Beauty. Ulet Slaughter Smiles, that's a good last name, and Lekka Splashed Lance. They got married in the year 246. So they're both members of the Illustrious Beauty? Here's a question. How long were they both members of the Illustrious Beauty? See, here I was expecting to be going through the history of Menastubs, and instead I'm going through the history of a mercenary band that... Oh, okay. Well, it was a short fling, but I'm sure an enjoyable short fling. Because they got married in 242 and then divorced in 246. Come on, let's be honest. Dwarven relationships never last very long in Legends. Goblin is the Connected Claw were hired by the attackers, and the defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. That's quite the relationship, actually. So not really a... Yeah, they only found out it doesn't work after their options are closed, you know? Also, can I just say Chem Bone Scar is a good fucking name? At least in this era, yeah. Chem Bone Scar is certainly leading a lot of attacks. I also see Zulban Point Plank quite frequently. And they had kids. Really? I'm wondering if the kids are going to grow up to join the military band. Yeah, Oily Bar is another name that pops up frequently. Those must just be members of the Disloyal Magicians, because there's not that many of them. So it's pretty likely that, like... Yeah, Oily Bar, there it is, in the year 193. Although Dastot, if they're leading the attack, Oily Bar must just be somebody high up in the fence of drums. And Magna! Thanks for the subscription for 4 months. I'm glad you like whatever the fuck this is. Thanks for watching. Cheers, dude. Oh, hey, it's the Realms of Comedy. Guys, can I get a round of beers in chat for Magna? Yeah, they're attacking. You're right. They are attacking the Disloyal Magicians. He only just popped in, and then Twitch was like, "Oi, my dude's live." Hey, Phineas. Or you popped in, and then it was like, "Yo, your resub's up. Click the button." But thanks for helping me fund whatever the heck this is, and thanks for letting me do this full time. Seriously. To anybody just tuning in, Legends mode for the community world, if you'd like to follow along, there's the download link in chat. If you're somehow watching on YouTube, it should be in the description of this video, or please tell me and then I'll put it in the comments or something. It's just a Google Drive link. The current link is 3 years behind what I'm looking at, but I will be uploading a second link so you guys can have week 1 and then week 3, or I'll just put the years in the titles. That'll make things easier. So you can download both of them separately if you want, or just download the most recent one, either or. Of course, the download will have a fort running on it, so you can just retire it, jump into Legends, follow along. Or if you want, you could start up an adventurer and go to one of the places that we're talking about and take screenshots. If you find anything particularly cool, please post information that you find in the Discord under Dwarf Fort Talk. If you're not in the Discord, just type an !Discord in the chat or scroll down. There's links everywhere. If you're on YouTube, there's also links on some of the videos. I should probably get better about that. But yeah, anyway, pop into the Discord and plop cool things that you find in Dwarf Fort Talk. Including names or whatever. Of course, this VOD is also archived on Twitch, so I can, go back and get chat recordings as well. So, to watch over menace dubs and alerting local armies that evil rises. You like to think the Illustrious Beauty was hired by civs to watch over menace dubs and alerting local armies that evil rises again? Oh no! And what, like? So, and for what we're following right now, the Illustrious Beauty seems to be one of the most prolific mercenary bands in the world. And there's this one place called Menace Dubs. Menace Dubs is a small goblin fort that has a very small population that has accounted for, like, the majority of the deaths and battles in the world. And for some reason, the defenders or the attackers always hire the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. Coincidence? I think not. Busla bread mines? Potentially, yeah. Busla bread mines could keep their names. Oh no, Dastot Oily Bar is fine. 1/3 of the wars. Looking for interesting things. Oh, here is a human mummy. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians in the year 196 at Menestubs. The human mummy, Icky. Maroon Prank. It's a Maroon 5 cover band. The Mellow Wealth of Skies led the attack. The defenders were led by the goblin Asno Tick Scorpion. The Lustrous Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. The defenders hired the Ardent Apogee. That's a good name. That's a good name. Also, the Mellow Wealth of Skies. That's quite the title. Looks like they pop up again here in the year 197. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians. But this is interesting. Suddenly, as of like the 180s and 190s, they're getting hired by the attackers more. I've never seen them get hired by the Union of Heat up until this point. I wonder what changed. I know that there was that one vampire that popped up earlier, but what changed? Why are they suddenly getting hired by the Union of Heat, which appears to be a pretty evil faction, considering like there was like that one group that the Humble something. I need to write these down. Yeah, must have. Must have. The Mellow Wealth of Skies, though. That's quite the name. Man, the Ardent Apogee just went the way of the mummy, I guess. That's unfortunate, because that's a good name. If they only lasted one battle, that's like all that they had, was like high creativity skills for good names, and then they just went and died. Also looks like Icky Moonprank. Icky? Ikai? Akai? I don't know. Yep, Bone Scar's still there. Dastot Oily Bar's still there. Yeah, it looks like the Union of Heat is just run by the Mellow Wealth of Skies. Second deadliest war was waged by the demons with 4 battles. Really? So how many people died in the second deadliest war if it was only 4 battles instead of 600 something? Wow, that's quite the war. Many people must have dug deeply and greedily in this world. The Union of Heat attacked the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. The human mummy Eki Maroon Prank, the Mellow Wealth of Skies, led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human Samitsu, Soil Scourge. The Lustrous Beauty were hired by the defenders. Yep, Chem Bone Scar of the... Chem Bone Scar. Can I say that? Chem Bone Scar? Sounds like a wrestler name. Like, it's Chem Bone Scar in the cage. It's like in the cage with John Cena and fucking Fight Night. Means pleat? Icky means pleat. In what language? I mean, I'm assuming human. Also, hey, Dwarf Burger. Need more music. The dwarves dug too deep, greedily and too deep. You know what? They awoke in the darkness of Shodukbur, Diveearth. What a name for a place that dug too deeply and too greedily. What year was that, Vin? Then it's better their name is fully translated as Inch Bone Scar. Inch Bone Scar. God damn. I mean, Itch and the Bone Scar is my new post-rock band, obviously. Around 165 demons were killed in that war. Wow. Who's the chief demon? Associated spheres is misery. Well, I mean, Bobette dredged ditches, the dark tragedy. You could post some of that stuff into the wiki as well, or not wiki, the Discord. That would be rad. Also, none of this stuff was particularly long ago because the world that we're looking at is 250 years old, right? I started playing in the year 250. We're on the year 208, so all this shit's still actively going. Also, I've attacked Menace Stubbs twice. So when I hit the bottom of this, I'm really curious to see if the defenders hired these guys. Fence of Drums. The Union of Heat. Empire. Yep, Chem Bone Scar is still there. Oh, hey. Omrek. Bassy Torches led the attack. The Courageous Shark. Hey, the Courageous Shark have popped up again. They were from way earlier. But of course, you know, the defenders hired the Lustrous Beauty as scouts. Realms of Comedy seems to have jumped back into the mosh pit here. The Dwarf of the Fence of Drums did dig too deep as well. In the year 214, that a lot of dwarves get slaughtered to various spooks. The Sanity of Fellowship at Pack Jump. The dwarf clasped spears led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human risen corpse, Sinar. Admired Secrets. That's a new one. Year 214. The human risen corpse, Sinar. Admired Secrets. Wait, which one? Attacked Menace Dubs only twice? Lousy Beard, True Dwarf raids it every day instead of evening ale drinking? Oh, are you saying that I attacked them twice, so I'm a lousy dwarf? Come on, man. We only just got started. Also, I'll be honest, I was kind of scared we'd just wipe it off the map. You know, I was kind of worried that we would just kill it, because I kind of don't want to attack this thing and kill it. The Dark Tragedies is the skunk monster clown of misery. I feel like I've seen skunk monster clowns, but also 4,320 kills. How much do you want to... Please tell me that its special ability is poisonous vapors or something. Like, I really want it to just be like, oh, it farts. You know, like a skunk master clown of misery. Poison blood, gotcha. I mean, that's also fucking cool, though. Poison blood just reminds me of Alien, when they cut the creature and it's just like the acid goes through half a dozen decks. That's one of the reasons why I like poison blood. So Cambone Scar is still involved. Oh, would you look at this? Would you look at this? Let's skip ahead to where I actually have music again. In the year 218, the human Erod Crevice Beards became the treasurer of the Illustrious Beauty. They're actually making so much money that they need a treasurer. A military band needs a treasurer. The human Sota became the commander of the Illustrious Beauty. Anguish Plate. It belches and croaks. Well, that's fitting. Croak's a little odd, but belch makes sense. So somebody must have died in 218. That must have been is that when the original commander of the Illustrious Beauty died? Was 218? Still fighting with the Disloyal Magicians. Oh, hey. The Puzzling Blade were hired by the attackers, and the defender hired the Luxurious Beauty. We're getting close to the end here. One terrifying juggernaut singly wiping out whole armies. This is like some Warriors games shit, you know? Like, just one terrible Lubu just shows up and just, with a single stroke of his sword, kills 1,000 men. Oh, we're back to them attack. The Renowned Praises attacked the Crystal of Passages. The Goblin Graveslayer. We have a Goblin Graveslayer led the attack. And the defenders were led... And the defenders... Can I just say that the Renowned Praises attacked the Crystal of Passages at Rage Violence. There is a place called Rage Violence in this world. There is a place called Rage Violence. Also, this is another good name. The Renowned Praises attacked the Angelic Tours at Tin Tunnel. The Goblin Graveslayer Atu Trapwitch. Trapwitch also is good. I like that. Led the attack, and the defenders were led by the dwarf Nish Squeezebodist. The defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty. So it seems like the Illustrious Beauty are getting hired as a defense of the Renowned Praises. Man, the Goblin Slayer, Graveslayer, Trapwitch. All right, I need to take a quick toilet break. I will be back in a moment. But yeah, no, this whole world could quite literally just be if you're edgy and you know it, clap your hands. Did I ever mention the Goblin Urist, who is the chief medical dwarf and was one of the first of their kind? Really? There was a goblin named Urist, which was one of the first of their kind? No, you didn't. Also, the copper lobsters attacked the furious sieges at Feedbean. The human sunless slayer, Ratty, worked speak. Sunless slayer. I'm wondering if that sunless slayer that rezzed the something earlier that we were talking about. I wonder if that name has popped up in here. Now the big question is, what do we look up next? Attack the insights of appearing of the copper lobsters at Feedbean. That's the big question, is what do we look up next? Because we've gone through so much here. And it looks like it's back to fighting at Menestubs. That's definitely their cash cow. Also, this is a good name. The human Okay, so the Realms of Comedy attack the Disloyal Magicians at Menestubs. The human Rustfen Racksteel led the attack. It's like a soap opera. At a goblin place, lots of kidnapped dwarves lived and were murdered at? Is that the next place that we should look up? It's either that or I look up another one of these mercenary bands. Still fighting the Disloyal Magicians, getting hired as attackers and defenders. Tivati Routedgate was a plump helmet man born in 192 and died in 214 they became a historian. Gotcha. Cool. You're currently researching this demon. You know, I don't think I've never done this level of like we're all going through legends together kind of thing before, but it's really curious about it's really kind of fun. I don't know, it feels like we're a bunch of historians, you know. Imagine somebody tunes into this stream today and that this is their first interaction with Dwarf Fortress. We literally are, what, historians? Here's a new. The Union of Heat attacked the Kindled Pix in Momentous Prairie. The human Ebby, Joke Scrap led the attack. Aripterus, thank you very much for the 8 months. Good to have you back. I'm glad you like the emotes. And you guys already got the round of beers going. Cheers, man. We're doing some Community Fort Legends research stuffs. Apparently discovered a method of collecting and evaluating artifacts to learn about the history and culture. Oh, really? Okay, I need to look up that mushroom person after this. That I think we'll take a little bit of a different route from the murder and death of all this stuff. Found another named goblin, Zolak Spiraled Witch. The Tax of Healers were hired by the attackers. The Tax of Healers. I think I've seen that one before. They've popped up again. He wrote some books. Cool. Other famous mushroom people. Gotcha. I've always... But yeah, no, so kind of like the long-term plan for this is I'm going to run a bunch of different forts in this world. And I'll kind of call the forts seasons, if that makes sense. So this will be season 1. Season 2 will be like a new fortress. Season 3 will be a new fortress. And I'll do a better job of playlisting them, because I tend to do a really bad job of playlisting all these on YouTube. We will get our doctrines of oracular domain history, yes. We'll all have a PhDs in history. Ooh. So, in the year 252, the human, Lem Yelling Glittered, became the commander of the Lustrous Beauty. That's the last entry we have of the Lustrous Beauty. Also, it looks like my group that attacked them in the year 253 didn't have any hirings of the Lustrous Beauty. So when we attacked Menace Dubs in our fort, the Lustrous Beauty was not hired. That's interesting. Dostum Divebottom, a short-lived Plump Helmet Man mercenary. A dwarf killed them. No mention of him eating them. I mean, obviously he was brood, right? I want to look up Lem Yells Glittered. Born in 182. She was born of unknown parentage. So this is the current commander of the... this is the current commander of the Lustrous Beauty. Really? Hell was reached only twice. We'll have to make that happen a third time. Interesting. Was born of unknown parentage in 182 and became a bard in Worthy Carried. Lem fought in the cremated battle at the Mute Swamp. Okay. The Mute Swamp is where Menace Dubs is. On Menace Dubs. Like, immediately. Like, is born in 182 and in the year 207 became a bard and was fighting in battles. Probably, like, I would guess, like, the military drummer boy kind of thing. Like, you know, the bard that's, like, leading the attacks kind of deal. Keep the morale up. Began an apprenticeship under the dwarf Odom in Menace Dubs. Wait, really? No, sorry. Did not in Menace Dubs, but began an apprenticeship under the dwarf Odom in Diamond Tongs. Moved to study in Girderhall in order to be with her master. Lem and Nod, Yon Knit became lovers. Lem authored a book in Girderhall, began an apprenticeship under a different dwarf, moved to Crypt Autumn in order to be with her master, married Yon Knit, Nod, her husband, I'm assuming, settled in Judge Smiled. Could someone look up this person's husband, Nod Yon Knit, if possible? Just curious who they are. Moved to study in Crypto Autumn to be with her master. Lem was hired as a scout. There you go. Was hired as a scout for the savage attack on Menace Dubs. Was hired again, hired again, hired again, hired again. Yeah, for now, only twice. For now, hell was only reached twice. There's a dwarven group called the Clean Rag. They reclaimed a fortress. Really? Trapper turned Merc Scout. Okay. I wonder if they met. What year did he turn Merc Scout? Because this person was a bard. It seems like. Yeah, there you go. Just fighting in defense and attacks on Menace Dubs. and various other places. Take arrows, mirror spikes, gem dragons. Damn. So basically, Lem just fought in a fuckload of battles. And then in the year 227, Lem became the master of Kaiwan Walked Prison. And Lem was hired as a scout for the Siege of Shooting. Okay. Kaiwan Walked Prison. Goes back to just being hired constantly. I mean, that's what happens when you're part of the Lustrious, or the Lustrious Beauty. Constant fighting. Constant fighting. Wrote 3 books. Tan Saffron, My Friend Cremations, and then went back, wrote 2 books in 239 and then went back to fighting. There was a thief plum helmet woman. Really? Bigfoot Monsters was another plum helmet person with a cautionary tale, born in 189 and began wandering the wilds before confronting a forgotten beast in 224 and being eaten by it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh no, they got divorced in 245. So was this was the married couple that you guys were talking about, right? Because someone was saying that they found... Oh, really? So Yonit married Lem right after divorcing them? Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, you guys were talking earlier about finding a married couple that got divorced in 245. And this must have been them. But it looks like one of the members of that married couple, Lem, went on to... Whoa. In the year 249, was hired as a scout for the Onslaught. Seems to... And this is when the world kicks in. The most recent bit of history, and we see all those places that they're visiting. And in the year 252, became the commander of the Lustrious Beauty. Ah, crap. I hit the wrong button. I'm just going to quickly scroll down to the bottom again. I wonder if they visited my fort. These are in the Lustrious Beauty. Unremarkable parents, though. Russet wandered, watched castle. No, hasn't visited my fort. The Copper Grove was an object of worship. And has one daughter. Former spouse in Nod, and then a lover / husband. 2-time lover and then husband. Which an ex-wife of his is running. Yep. They did marry somebody else, or they had a husband that they never divorced in Caslin Gardstild, who was born in 178. So I'm assuming, yeah, I got together with somebody else afterwards. If I can find that. When did that happen? Ah, there you go. In 249. Yeah, in the year 249, Caslin, Gardstild, and Lem became lovers. Who's Caslin Gardstild? Male human, born in 178. It was the youngest son of Joel Burned Race and Zith Othrian. Seems to have had a few lovers. Got married in 196. Also became a bard in Virgin Plank. You know, I'm starting to see a pattern here. They become a bard and then immediately start fighting. This is the third one that's become a bard and then immediately started fighting. You know, I don't like Skyrim, but what if this is like a, Brotherhood of, what are they called? The murdering crew. that are all like bards and traveling musicians, but they're actually just like horrible murderers that will murder on contract. What if that is what the Dark Brotherhood, that's what, I want to call them the Dark Bloodhood. Anyway, the Dark Brotherhood. What if this group is kind of like that, where they all become bards and then just like form up as this like unstoppable planning crew? Seems to have fought in a few different assaults in Mana Stubbs. Found a lover, got married. Found another lover. Moved. Found another lover, got divorced. Wrote some books. And then didn't really do much. And then visited a ton of different forts. And then fought in an assault in the year 252. When did you get together with that other person? There you go, 249. Became lovers. Man, this person's a bit of a playboy. Spikes of something sharp. I need someone else I can look up. Actually, Stone, did Nod become a bard shortly before joining the group? Actually, what was Nod's last name? Because I don't have the ability to make that character show up. Unless you, here. Can I copy paste? No, I can't. Also, I'm taking a glance. Oh, you're looking at the war between... Gather, fellow dwarves, as I tell thou not the story of bloodiest... The story of the bloodiest war that shakes the earth to this day. Many of the ardent foe which murdered our kin in great numbers as we managed to stop his conquest. Beneath is the journey of 164 of our brethren at Diveearth. Yonnit, that was it. Was never a bard, he was a trapper. There you are. Yeah, he became a trapper. I mean, maybe that's my theory out the window then, right? If Nod Yonnit became a trapper, it's possible that my theory is just hogwash. Coincidence. That two of them happen to become bards. The Hatchet Siege of Blades. What was the name of the place that they founded? Does any... Stone, did because you said that they founded a fortress at one point, right? I want to look that up. Like, they're a big enough faction to have a fortress. Which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Heads up, chat. Investments are open if you wish to invest your tickets. I guess the moral of the story is don't trust bards. Aye, skin melted. Aye, skin melted. The Humble Smiths. This is a group I wanted to look up. was a human group from the oracular domain. The human mummy, Casmico Craterboot, became the leader of the Humble Smiths. They attacked the problematic group at Rossmire. The human grave slayer, Tor Throgulfs, led the attack. Yes, we already read this one. And the defenders were led by the human, and of course the Illustrious Beauty was hired as scouts. The Humble Smiths defeated the problematic group at the Angelic Empire and destroyed Ramshore. The Humble Smiths then moved on to attack the Ashen Coalition at Puzzling Pyres. The human Graveslayer Gaddy Lureclasps led the attack, and the defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. The Humble Smiths defeated the Ashen Coalition at the Angelic Empire over puzzling spheres. The new government was called the Fresh Desserts. The Humble Smiths then moved on in the year 163 to attack the Carmine League at Trixold. The human grave slayer Dissim Wrinkles led, Wreath Kisses led the attack, and the Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts. The Humble Smiths defeated the Carmine League and the Angelic Empire and took over Trixold. The new government was called the Polish of Anguishing. Hey, Patolis, what's up? We're doing a Dwarf Fortress history lesson between me and chat. The Humble Smiths attacked the Coalition of Cloistering at Entercovered. The human grave slayer, No Cam, there we go again, there's No Cam, led the attack. And the defenders were led by the human grave slayer, Mistum. The defenders hired the Illustrious Beauty as scouts. Suspicious number of grave slayers. The Humble Smiths is a human faction. And they seem to just be attacking people. Although their history appears to be quite short. Because they seem to kind of stop being active. The Angelic Empire defeated the Humble Smiths and destroyed Shadow Traps. Okay, so in the year 160, in the early autumn of 163, the Angelic Empire attacked the Humble Smiths at Shadow Traps. The human Chem Bonescar, we know that name, led the attack, and the defenders were led by the human Graveslayer Mistum Painted Mighty. The Illustrious Beauty were hired as scouts by the attackers. The Angelic Empire defeated the Humble Smiths and destroyed Shadow Traps. The human Asic Even Speakers, the Flickering, became an enemy of the Humble Smiths. A bunch of people became the enemies of Humble Smith. The Abyssal Seals became... Oopsies, that's the wrong button. My bad. Also, I could just delete that scene now, actually.
Welcome to...
Hold on. Do you, like, love that time when you push the wrong button? I won't be needing that scene no more. All right. I'm very sorry about that. I hit the wrong button on my thingy. But I've removed it now. I don't need that no more. The the human Mechos tempt pulled. The giant saltwater crocodile. Tin glowing. The practice of persuasion became an enemy of the Humble Smiths. I mean, they got defeated, but they got defeated at Shadow Traps. I'm gonna look up Shadow Traps. It was a tomb. They were operating out of a tomb. It was constructed by the Union of Heat. And the Union of Heat constructed the Crypt of Jails in Shadow Traps. The human Abs was entombed in Shadow Traps within the Crypt of Jails. Okay. The student screw was stored. Thoughts on the screw was stored. Bunch of artifacts were stored there. Bunch of humans visited. Yeah, and then this starts in 131. Yeah, you're right. The human Ari, mint handled. The human and the human Ari and the human Ramstum control lips, and the human ass lucid scold, and the human Ari Urgebeard, and the human Biwa made a journey to shadow traps. Thoughts on the screw was recovered by them. And then the human control lips disturbed the dead in the framed tombs and shadow traps. The mummy Kasmiko, crater boot, was disturbed from the eternal rest by the human Rastom control lips. And the angelic empire attacked the humble smiths at shadow traps. Yeah, there you go. Like, basically, they disturbed a mummy who started the shadow traps. Or the humble smiths at shadow traps. Yep. A dwarf Aban works splatter. Definitely got splattered. Was struck down by a dog in shadow traps. And then it looks like, yeah, it all just begins. It's just a huge old fight over a couple of years. Bunch of grave slayers. There's Dastot Oily Bar. The human grave slayer's upper right tooth was torn off by the dwarf Dastot Oily Bar. Yeah, good old fight broke out. So yeah, it looks like just some fucking treasure hunters that made a mistake and went to the wrong tomb to steal the wrong artifacts. I think I've seen this movie. How you doing, Spaceship Rat? What's up, dude? We're going on a fucking adventure, and it's good. We're going on a goddamn adventure through Legends mode. Like, how long have we been reading Legends now? Like, an hour and a half at least? Maybe more. But this is interesting. Even after... Okay, so something else is going to happen here in the future, I think. Because, look at this. Down at the bottom. In the early autumn of 163, the Angelic Empire defeated the Humble Smiths and destroyed shadow traps. But in the year 182, the human Behal Furnace Lash settled in shadow traps. So there's still something there. Waiting to be disturbed again, potentially? Something like that. All right. Well, you have fun over there, Dragonman. Looking at the bloodiest battle of the Demon War, and there was exactly one non-combatant? What do you mean by one non-combatant? Oh, really? A legendary glassmaker. So who the heck is Furnace Lash? Didn't seem to live too long. Was a soap maker at Swelted Dapper. Fought in a bunch of sieges at Menestubs. Also, I like this one. The Siege of Murder, Assault on Menestubs. Had a lover. Continued to fight in Menestubs. But why did you settle in the tomb? I mean, they're serpents. What else do you expect? Was a fish dissector, but gave that up to be a farmer. Cemented a bond of friendship with Bestara, heavy-worded. Continued to fight. This is fascinating. Did he live as a hermit? Because Shadow Traps was destroyed. And how you doing, Screaming Robot? Then died of old age. I need to look up the Uncertain Mongers. It was a bandit gang? Interesting. So he fought in a whole lot of assaults with menace dubs and then eventually just kind of said screw it. Was originally part of the Union of Heat and then the Sunny Council. The Beige Sect. Had 5 kills, all humans in shadow traps. Interesting. Under Mel Mailbolt. Well, I'm gonna go look up the Uncertain Mongers. Oh, I'm in historical figures. I gotta be in. Oh, wow. They didn't really do much. It was a human bandit gang from the Oracular Domain. Literally had 1 member. So yeah, he was like some weird fucking tomb hermit. That's bizarre. Considering 20 years before Bihal, Furnace Slash became a member of the End Master. I mean, he didn't write any books or make any artifacts. Is Mel like his child or something? I didn't see any family members named that. That's bizarre. Why would you do that? Uncertain. Well, maybe they were just very uncertain. It's where they got the name. It's just from all of the uncertainty. Fucking fascinating, that. Fucking fascinating, let me tell you. Then became the boss, but how would they know the name of it? Born in 217. She was born of unknown parentage, and then somehow became the chiefess of the Uncertain Mongers. How the fuck? Yeah, exactly. What the fuck happened there? The Azure Pedal. Human god. The Azure Pedal was a deity that occurs in the myths of the Union of Heat. The Azure Pedal was most often depicted as a male human and associated with beauty. I'm wondering if there's any connection there. Also, Kismet Poker murdered. Yeah, it seems like just a lot of corruption. Very corrupt religion. I mean, of course, the god of beauty would be would have a very corrupted religion following them. Damn. All right, I'm gonna keep poking through Legends for a bit, I think. But it's 1 p.m. It's time for me to go get lunch. Okay. Yeah, Behal was indeed an ardent worshiper of that deity. Oh, Behal was also? So Mel and Behal were both ardent worshippers of that deity. Fascinating. It's got to be some sort of religious thing then. So if you're enjoying this chat, can I get a round of beers? I will be right back in a minute or two. I'm going to go do my injections, grab my lunch, and then we can continue going through this fun stuff. And hope to see you guys in a minute. Cheers, everyone. God damn, blood sugar's all over the fucking place again today. Yesterday it was awful because I couldn't, like... Yesterday was awful because I was always either way too low or like just low enough that I feel like shit. I went low twice yesterday. And now it seems like I'm way too high today. And it sucks. I overcompensated, I guess, somewhere. Hungry heads are boring. Not a single one of them did anything notable. I mean, hungry heads are just heads that are hungry, right? Yeah, definitely my favorite. And I have a chicken and cheese sandwich, so hopefully my correction shot will bring me back down. I mean, it really isn't much of a... It is weird, yeah. The whole mile bolt stuff. It's bizarre. Like, why would you start a gang? Why would you restart a gang by yourself, all alone, after 22 years? When originally the gang was one dude, right? That reminds me of a fort I had ages ago that died way too early, which was literally just a death cult. All of the dwarves worshiped the deity of death. You missed me getting a sandwich, Batoles. This was before the update where temples happened, Tapiok. Epic sandwich music intensifies. Hmm. The Vessel of Artifice. That dwarven civilization. Very much a prolific civilization. Realms of Comedy was a human civilization that definitely popped up a lot in those wars. You do an XML dump. Also, I love it, Lakopek. I love it. this is what Lakopek posted on the Discord. So this is all about the the journey in the year Dwarf in the year 214, when they opened up the demons and dug too deeply. That's fucking cool. Trying to think. Yeah, I should really just download Legends Viewer, shouldn't I? On a glorious day of the 22nd of Slate, an alliance was formed between the Angelic Empire and the Vessel of Artifice to combat disease. Or to combat the disease. The humans and dwarves standing together, Kem Bonescar, the legendary human marshal, and Bomrek Basis torches, fought side by side against the murderous fiend this day. Though it was a tough battle, their foe was not of this world, and 100 demons was corrupting the land. Attacking together, the alliance of humans and dwarves quickly began a battle against the Titans of Hell, slaying one of the vile kind. The fell dwarves and humans by dozens. Marshall and the general attacking the dark tragedy as they were one, bottled and did for days. It's a good little image to grab. I like it. And fell in the battle, Bomrek the Great, but not before scarring the foe. Ran the skunk away into the depths with his tail between his legs. A great funeral was held, and many riches were offered to Bomrek for him to carry into the afterlife, and the demon was stopped. What was the name of that demon? It was the skunk something of terror. I mean, there might be people that are willing to help you look at it or make a tool like that. Kem Bonescar had a pet polar bear? That's awesome. Humans tend to have bears and grizzlies. Bobet. I see. The male skunk monster. I'm gonna copy this and paste it into Discord. Bobet Dredge the Dark Tragedies was a skunk monster. He was the only one of his hiccups. He was the only one of his kind. An enormous noseless skunk twisted into humanoid form. It belches and croaks. Beware its deadly blood. Bobet was associated with misery. Became the master of the Nightmare of Coiling. The Nightmare of Coiling attacked the Still Mansion in Diveearth. Bobet led the attack, and the defenders were led by the dwarf Atir Floorletter. Bobet fought in the bloody assaults on Diveearth, and Bobet struck down dwarves. Here, I'm just going to screenshot all this. I might actually make a video out of this story and steal some of the information that you've given me, like Kopek. Killer of 4,330. You screenshotted some of this monster earlier? Sweet. Well, I mean, this is going to be some long histories. Necro found. The artifact was claimed by Bobette. What's Necro found? Kind of want to know. I like this. In the year 214, Bobette drowned the elf, crucified a dwarf, burned a dwarf, crucified a dwarf, buried a dwarf alive, and then settled in Diveearth. Fuck. You didn't even read through it? That's intense, dude. And there's Dastot Oily Bar again. Defensive drums attacked the unnamable amazements of the Nightmare of Coiling at Diveearth. The dwarf Dastot Oily Bar led the attack, and the defenders were led by Bobette. Bobette in the attack of Boring in the defense of Diveearth. Bobette's such a good name, too. Or Bobette? What do you guys think? Bobette or Bobette? Or Babette? Like kind of a French kind of name. This is like Pepe Le Pew of fucking Dwarf Fort right here. Let's call him Bob. Let's call it Steve. Whenever someone says let's call him something or let's call it something, that line pops into my head. Let's call it Steve. Over the Hedge, underrated kids film. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah. Certainly was a, holy fuck, this is a lot of history. Tamed giant rats. It'll take about 5 minutes to get to the bottom. Not 5 minutes. Not 5 minutes. Definitely not 5 minutes. So chat, let me ask you guys a question. I want to make a lore video about this. What do you guys... Holy fuck. What do you think would make for a better lore video? The Illustrious? Or the... Wow. The Illustrious Beauty, who of course are being hired in defense here. In the year 214, the Angelic Empire attacked the Nightmare of Coiling in the Mute Swamp, and the human Hem Bone Scar led the attack, and the defenders were led by the Illustrious Beauty. No kidding, Fog. Hey man, what's up, dude? But what do you guys think would make for a better story in video format? The Illustrious Beauty? Or the Nightmare of Coiling and Bobette the Horrible? The dark tragedies of Bobette. I think I might do Bobette. Might do Bobette. Because I could ask Cooler to draw the creature. And then just use screen grabs from other things as backgrounds. Also, Fog, what up? How you been, man? How's your weekend so far? Also, let us know what we owe you for the logo work, by the way. I like how this is all happening in the year 214. This is like the greatest fucking battle of this world's history. Like, the Menace Dubs, most battles overall, but this is like the biggest battle. And 1,016 demons were slaughtered? No fucking shit.
Bob at TLDR when Kappa.
I'm working on it. I, like, literally screenshotting shit and putting information into the Discord for research. The Vessel of Artifice attacked the Unnameable Amazements. They attempted it again. The Puzzling Blade were hired by the attackers as a mercenary group. Oh, we're there. 1,016 demons were there. That's insanity, dude. Through Twitch for now. Works out best on price. Gotcha. And also gets you ad-free viewing, which frankly is important. Although I was fully prepared to just give you a VIP badge if you decided to drop the sub so you can have ad-free viewing. VIP is like kind of awesome for that, actually. But guys, can I please get a round of beers in chat for Fog for being fantastic? Fog's been around the channel for ages. Fog did all of the art for my stream team stuff. Halcyon Frequency. So if you've ever seen that stuff and gone, huh, that shit looks nice, Fog did that. And thank you, Fog, for continuing to be awesome. Even though Fog's probably sitting there going, what the fuck's this bloke doing? Oh, with all the games that I play. The Skunk Monster Clown of Misery. Mm-hmm. It was creative about it. Yeah, you're completely right. This, like, it's kind of incredible the amount of sadism that this creature has. Also, hold on a second. Just looking at here. The year Bulbet struck down the dwarf, Iwell new labored with the wondrous numbers in Diveearth. Struck down the dwarf Wraith Slaughterlances in Rainy Stains in Diveearth. Struck down Eusteth with Rubbed Clouted. The Scar of Lures in Diveearth. Literally killing all these dwarves with different artifacts. Killed 3 with Haunt Lessons. The Scream of Lutes. The Drinker of Servants. With One Yells. The Drinker of... Like, look at all these different... There comes Narrow Stops again. Failed Talked. Narrow Stops pops again. The Wondrous Numbers. This thing's wielding multiple weapons. So he's got like a fucking... This skunk demon has a fucking like backpack just filled with artifact weapons and is murdering fools left and right with different weapons and putting them back and pulling out a different one. And stole them. Yeah, that's even better. That's probably taking them off of the people that he's killing. What is narrow stops, can I ask? Like, could you possibly look up that artifact? It's a spear? Made of what? Here's another one. Spike's Forks, the shaken phrases. Also, if anybody wants to follow along with this, an iron spear, fucking badass. Anybody wants to follow along with this, this is the world save that we're looking at right now. You'll have to retire the fort that's in it, though. Also, this whole VOD's going up on YouTube. This is going to be a long one. A steel warhammer is the second one. Fucking cool, man. Although steel's a bad material for rubbed cloud, vanished passions, haunt lessons, the scream of lutes, begin wines. Yeah, I'm seeing them popping up again. Failed talk. Oh, there we go. River Renowned was looted from Diveearth by Bobet after defeating the dwarf Codel Ringtomb. What's happening? So we're reading Legends. This is the Community World Legends Wild Strat. We started off by reading about battles at a... basically, people in chat are following along in their own versions or using Legends Viewer and other tools. We are reading through Legends of our Community World. First, we ended up reading about a mercenary group called the I'm forgetting the name now. The Illustrious something. Why am I blanking on it? My blood sugar is high, so I'm like remembering things is difficult. But the Illustrious something, which was a mercenary group, which seems to be involved in literally every single battle in the world, or at least every single major one, as scouts, which I'm convinced are like the New World Order. And then we have, the Illustrious Beauty, that was it. Illustrious Beauty. And then now we're following the Bobet Dredged Ditches, the Dark Tragedies, which is a skunk demon, or a skunk monster, which was one of the first of its kind, which took place in the single-handedly biggest battle in this world's history. This is all one battle that took place in the year 214 when somebody dug a little too deeply and too greedily. 1,000 plus demons were involved in this fight, and this particular demon got 4,000 kills. Plus. In one battle. This was like damn near the goddamn apocalypse. Really? Narrow Stops was a legendary iron spear, encrusted with cushioned kimberlite cabochons and encircled with bands of single-cut jamber opals and plus spikes of mountain goat hoof. It was created by Zephon Ink-Fainted and claimed as a family heirloom, and then it was lost during the breaching of Diveearth and claimed by Bobet. That's fucking awesome. A legendary iron spear taken by a demon to then slay your commanders. That's fucking badass, dude. I don't know if that clip is viewable, but I think I can edit it later. But yeah, we're also posting information about this battle up on Discord. If you want to read kind of the story of the battle, starting at the top, Likopek has started running it, starting there. So you can kind of read through if you need to get caught up. And I love the images for touch. Those are nice. Yeah, you can read through as well as like bits of stuff that I'm screenshotting and the description of the creature. And yeah. I don't think that's readable or watchable, so I'll just delete that. But, yeah. So if you want to follow along, feel free. Yeah. 214 was indeed a good year. Well, a bad year. Good year for history, though. Narrow stops pierced hearts in 206. 206 hearts. Killed 206 creatures. What year was it made, a Kopek? The dwarf Medtob Glazemaster's head was ripped. Style Begin, the Spy of Squeezing, was looted by Bobet after defeating the dwarf Etor Nightlance. Yeah, it seems like Narrow Stops and Rainy Satins appears to be some of his favorites. Or Bobet's favorites. Here's another one. The Emancipated Plays was looted from Diveearth. The Emancipated Plays. Rainy Satins was a copper warhammer? All of them, yeah. Yes, yeah. Or timeline chart, you can see the year. Whoa! You can see that year. Oh, I'm assuming that the big old spike right there is the depths. There's another big spike happening right there. Oh, it's number of events. I get you. Damn, that was almost the apocalypse. Like, is it fair for me to say that that year was almost the apocalypse? And look how the number of events has dropped since then. Like, they shot up, obviously, as they do. And then they started dropping. Hot damn. I mean, you know, it's practically like Legolas shit, where he just like takes two arrows, stabs them through an orc's eyes, pulls them out, shoots the two arrows at another guy. We're getting close to the bottom here. The Hunt Lessons, the Scream of Loots has popped up again. Dwarf Toulon's right eye was torn out by Bobet, and the dwarf Sonar's mirror homage's lower right arm was ripped. And then here we go again. Surges of Violence. Finalized by Bobet devouring their prey. Like, holy shit. And that's the end of the battle right there. Devoured even more dwarves and then became a member of the Cobalt Order. Bobet the Nightmare of Coiling created the position of Counselor as a matter of course. And then made a journey to the depths of the world and tamed giant cave toads. Tamed voracious cave crawlers. And returned to Diveearth in 227. In the year 242, returned to Diveearth. Tamed giant rats. In the year 250, the Sulcan Bard attacked the unimaginable amazements. The Nightmare of Coiling at Diveearth. And the Eagle Woman Memica, a maze fat, led the attack. The defenders were led by Bobet. Bobet fought in the onslaught of disembowelers in defense of Diveearth. So now the times have changed, and it seems like every so often they're, or multiple times a year even, they're attacking it, trying to reclaim it from the looks of things. So while we're starting our fort far away, they're just trying to reclaim it. Not really all murdered out. And I guess you guys wouldn't have this history because I've got the updated version of the world. So as of the year 253, Bobet outmatched the human Rifa with a cunning plan, and the defenders had a strong positional advantage in Diveearth. So Diveearth is still there. 1,115 notable kills. Holy shit. That's all the kills. $3,226 other kills. $68 dwarves, 71 other dwarves, 117 humans, 2 elephants, 133 humans, 956 dwarves in Diveearth. 956 dwarves. Fuck. Demon better than Necromancer, of course. Necromancers are generally pretty weak, actually. That's why they hide behind their armies of the dead. All in 214. Some pretty old dwarves in there, too. Not a lot of children, though. Interesting. Yeah, and the dwarves to dread the day that Bobet shall return to conquest. I like to imagine that Bobet's kind of hiding under permanent siege, you know? I mean, it must have been. Because they dug too deep, right? Yeah, like Kopek said. So here's interesting. Bobet worships the aquamarine mines. That's just something fucking special. I'm just grabbing 2 screenshots right quick. That's one. That's two. So worships the deity of metals. Interesting. Well, I mean, this demon was pretty fucking metal. $3,226 other kills. Man, dude, that's ridiculous. The fuckiest part is that this thing is still alive. Still alive. Hold on, the Copper Lobsters is a group of humans made up by one fish man? Also, damn. Tapioca posted a screenshot of a human with 37,164 kills. Well, thanks for totally one-upping the Dark Tragedies. 45 artifacts. Yeah, obviously different world. Yeah, no, you said that's in a different version of the game. The question is, where is Diveearth? I want to know where Diveearth is. I want to find it in the year 214. I guess that would be year 220. I think somebody screenshotted it, didn't you? So it's down here. Let's see if I can find it. Shoduk Burr. Shoduk Burr. There it is. That's it. Right there. Shoduk Burr. Current year, Shoduk Burr. Yeah, relatively near Menistubs. Which is, I think, this one? That's Menistubs, right? There's currently 18 demons living there. In current year, Shoduk Burr, Diveearth, has 111 goblins, 18 dwarves, 38 humans, 32 visitors, yeah, no, I misread that. Not demons, dwarves. There we go. Just grabbing a screenshot. Sorry if that's annoying. Just wanted to get a screenshot of it. For, you know, future science, of course. Whereas... Yeah. So I was right. Yeah, that's, right there, that's Menestubs. So that's Menestubs, where all of those fights took place. And right there is Shodukbur. And then there's also Bomrekkur. There's some evil forts around here too. And of course, right here is where we settle with the community fort. Right next to all of that shit. And they say that this game isn't ready to stream. Good lord, man. Fucking best stream game ever. What am I doing? Just reading. Thanks, everybody, seriously, for hanging out for this. Been fun so far. Imagine getting 55 people to watch 5 hours of fantasy history lecture. You want to, well, you want to know what's wild, like OPEC? When the villains release came out, or the 50% of villains, or whatever they're calling it, like the halfway done villains release. When the last release came out in February, I did a stream that was 8 hours of just this, just reading Legends in one world. Except I didn't have help from you guys. It was literally just me reading. Put that VOD up on YouTube, and it got like 2,000 views of just me reading Legends. One of my favorite things that I ran into was this queen necromancer of a dwarven civ who kept murdering, getting married, murdering her husbands, and then rezzing them back. And then would get, sleep with 4 more dwarves, get married, kill them the next year, and res them. Just serial murderer queen necromancer lady. Also, have I really been doing this for 5 hours? How long have I been live? 4 hours and 47 minutes. First hour and a half, we were listening to cassettes, okay? So it hasn't been 5 hours. It hasn't been 5 hours. The real question is, right? Like, you know, there's so much carnage that we know has happened in this one area. The hell happened to these fortresses like Gusilast, that's dead, or like these 2 dead fortresses, Dusimkonos or Erel Nakuth. You at AI Dungeon, create you at DF log, really? I like DF stuff a lot more than AI Dungeon. I don't know. AI Dungeon is just kind of, I don't know. Not my shtick. I don't know. Good evening, Johnny. You've missed a couple of wild rides. Yeah, Lacopec's got this up here, but that's Diveearth, and that's Menestubs. We're literally doing a fantasy history lecture. So where is the fortress that the illustrious beauty founded? If you're not playing it while horny. Yeah, well, just a sec, cool. You have time. At some point, we should actually play Dwarf Fortress today, right? The Nightmare of Coiling. The Immortality of Gloom. Like, there's a whole bunch of different, like, faction names that I haven't even read yet. So our favorite... I mean, that... Yeah, I see on Discord. What's the name of it, though? Ah, it's this one. That looks right. Yeah, that is it. So that there is the fortress that was founded. I'm going to screenshot that as well. So Norikani is a fort that was founded by the illustrious Beauty. That very prolific military band that assisted in hundreds, if not thousands of assaults. Not thousands, hundreds of assaults on this fortress, as well as assaults in the defense of Shudokbar. Curious. So in the year 100, it was founded. It's definitely a cluster truck. So they're still doing well, and this is when this dwarven civilization is flourishing. Something gets a little dark around the year 190. And in the year 220, the Nightmare of Coiling come out. You can see all the factions that are present here. Also, at what point did those dwarven civs... Oh, wow. Yeah. Those were just evil fortresses from the get-go. Also, notice, both of these forts are founded in the same year. It's the year 100. Shidokbar is founded, and so is Kutzmal Gozu, which is Menestubbed. Really? The dwarves conquer the empire, and the dwarves declare war in the Falcon Kingdom. Like, literally, those two forts, or Dwarven Fortress and this little goblin fort, is the cause of the majority of death in this world. And what? Wait, what? Were dwarves building a resort to rest after raiding Menestubs? I mean, maybe? But look at how much shit popped up in the year 100. It's like in the year 100, you have a Necromancer Tower over the right. You have 2 Necromancer Towers show up. Like, so much shit popped over there in that deserty area over on the right. As well as, like, look at all of the dwarven fortresses that popped up in that huge valley between the two mountain ranges right there, in kind of the middle. So year 90, and then boom, year 100, everything shows up. And then 10 years later, so much more. Like, this faction fucking balloons here. And they dug too deeply and too greedily in the year 114, and then most of their faction dies. Or no, sorry, the year 214, not 114. But yeah, in the year 100 is when everything started ballooning. And then there, the Nightmare of Coiling came out. Like, the number of goblins that show up in that 100-year period right there is fucking crazy. All of that pink stuff in the middle there, those are all goblins. Good thing we're not playing AI Dungeon. They needed to industrialize to continue the ongoing war at Kutzmobgazu, Menestubbed. In order to keep that war effort going, they dug too deeply and too greedily in the year 220 and caused, like, the loss of 5,000 lives. That's fucking incredible. As well as a huge alliance between the human faction that I think is right down here. Yeah, the Angelic Empire, the human faction, and the dwarves to fight the thing back down into the depths. But it still, to this day, has control of this fortress and is defending against sieges. Granted, there hasn't been any fucking rampages from Bobat since then. Be like, if you want to catch up, go look at the Dwarf Fortress room on Discord. There's a wealth of information there and research we've done today. We're literally doing, we're being Dwarf Fort historians right now. And to the few people who followed the stream during this, hi, welcome. See if it has any scars or missing bits. Not in vanilla. Lots of words, yes, lots of words. We did research into two big events in the community world. One being Menestubbs, the place where the most things died. And then I noticed that there was a group called the Lustrous Beauty, which is a very prolific band of shadowy human mercenaries, which appeared to largely start off as bards before they start the murdering. They're all master tacticians, and they seem to single-handedly be the reason why this location on the map right here is why the majority of deaths happen in this world. They're always either hired as scouts for the attackers or the defenders. Almost always, for almost every single one of the fights. Including defending in the events against Shodukbur, which is Diveearth. Oh, it certainly has minions. It's not even living in Shudokbur currently. It goes down below to tame animals and then comes back up and spends a year in the fort, defends against a siege, and then goes back down into the depths. Hey, Gimper. You've missed a lot of really good Dwarf Fortress lore today. All right, so should we actually play some Dwarf Fortress? I think that's a pretty good spot to end it. Like, we've fucking done what? 5 hours of streaming and I technically haven't played the fort yet? You can't look at any more text. My eyes are bleeding. All right, well. To those of you who missed that, you get to watch the VOD. We're going to actually play Dwarf for it now. Oh yeah, the creepy room in your apartment that you found ages ago? So no bodies then. I mean, that's a little disappointing, I'll be honest. But also good. Oh, there probably will be more than just VODs made out of that. That was probably my favorite Legends session ever. Basically, the problem with AI Dungeon is it can very, very quickly become super not safe for work. No bodies, weird drops.